Live on the Side by Side channel. Hello, everybody. Hello, Camilla Ammer, our mental coach. For today, our topic would be the goal setting and motivation and goal setting, correct?
Yeah. Hi, Alia. Hi, Adel, Jaime, and Lisa. Nice to have you around. Uh, Let me just put this a little bit on
A little bit loud.
until the people start coming in. I just figured this song could be nice for people since it's motivational. Then why not? All right. So I'm going also on Instagram for the first time live there. So trying to focus on everything, getting the right places and sharing with everybody else. I hope you guys are ready for this session. And let's give people some time again. Let's see. All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Side by side, everybody on Instagram, on Facebook, on Zoom with us. Let's get this going. All right. Let me just test here. It seems that I'm having some problems here with Instagrams. People can't hear me. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, we
Instagram.
can hear you well.
Let's hope the people can hear me on Instagram as well. All right. So today we are talking about motivation and goal settings. Now, let's start first by welcome you guys, Remy and Lisa, for joining. I'm not sure if you followed the previous sessions that I've had with Alia and Adil and the rest of Side by Side. If you haven't, you can have a look at them. Today, we thought that it was a natural flow of things to go through motivation and goal settings, since we were talking about lots of other things that relate to this. And so let's just first define what motivation is. Motivation is the desire to act in service of a goal. It's the crucial element in setting and attaining one's objective or goals. I took this off of the Oxford Dictionary. Now, it can be a drive forward or away from certain things in our life or in your life. The idea of motivation is mainly divided into two perspectives, at least from my point of view. The first perspective is having an intrinsic motivation style, which means it comes from an internal place somewhere within, pushing you to a greater accomplishment by challenging yourself and or improving your abilities. It can be, on the other hand, extrinsic, by which we mean you are motivated by external factors, such as the people around you, society, the environment, or events that happen in your life that also push you forward towards and above your obstacles. Now, if we look back at the hierarchy of needs of Maslow, you have certain needs at different times of your life. These needs, or according to these needs, one is motivated to move towards self-actualization or progressing in life based on reaching a certain level of satisfaction or filling those needs. To make it simple, people are motivated either towards a positive outcome, like, for instance, I want to travel because it will expand my horizon of the world, or they are motivated away from things by avoiding difficulties or events in their life that they don't want. Like, for instance, I want to travel because I don't want to miss out on life. Can you guys hear the difference between the two examples I gave you? All right. And by presenting these two differences, let's first start with what doesn't work usually. Now, with NLP practitioners, there's a general consensus that there are 4 motivation strategies that do not work properly or work poorly. There is a negative motivator. That is a person who is motivated by seeing or imagining the worst outcome possible when not accomplishing a task. There is a person that's a dictator. That is a person that dictates rules of how, when, why, or things should or need to be finished. And creating a sort of a general in their head that orders them around by saying things like, you need to do this, or you should do that, or you have to do this or that. The third motivator is the person that imagines doing something. But this person imagines or tends to think of the task as an unpleasant task. In other words, they visualize and feel the weight of the horrible task in their mind. And instead of thinking about how it would look like in the future or feel like once the task is complete. There is the fourth one is the overwhelmer. Not sure if I can say the overwhelmer, but let's say it that way. And that overwhelmer is exactly as it sounds. It's a person that overwhelms themselves with the grand scheme of the objective, how big it is, how much work is required, etc. Now, you don't necessarily need to use all of these, one of those 4 negative motivators, but you can have a combination of them at any given time in your life. And that is more or less the negative side of the motivation, or how motivation doesn't work. But when we come and talk about motivation and all that introduction about motivation, there's still a very important factor to consider. Yes, you can be coached and help to motivate yourself. You can go to a seminar that will motivate you because of the crowd, and you'll have that for a few days in you. Not to mention people, but people come out of these seminars of motivation and they stay on that hype for 2-3 days. You can watch a movie that gives you an energy to push you forward, saying, yes, I'm going to do this right now. And then in a few hours later, or a few days, you stop. You feel emptied of motivation. So what is the greatest motivator? Well, I will put it bluntly to you. That is a gift given to each one of you. And yet, you refuse to use it. You have within that round piece of bone on your shoulders something called a brain. Use it, right? Not only to solve math problems or write reports for work, but just give me one valid reason why you choose not to use it to motivate yourself. And just so you don't say, I haven't done anything to motivate you, here's a small motivational speech. Most people waste their time and efforts and energy using that gift of their brain on worrying about consequences, about the future, regretting and thinking about the past, feeling sorry for themselves. Change the script. Write that chapter again with your words on how you want to live today, how you want to learn from the past, accepting what happens as a step forward to your current state, and motivate yourself by pushing your limits for a better you than you were yesterday. So now tell me, are you willing to truly start writing your own story? Are you motivated enough to find that gumption and power within you to move forward? At the end of the day, it is still your choice. So then let's move forward and implement those motivation strategies that work for us. So here's the deal. There are a few steps you can take. If you hear a voice in your head that says, that is negative to you, that tells you not to do things, that seems to be harsh or unpleasant, and most of us have a voice in our head, and I'll be the first one to admit I have several voices in my head. That voice is best handled when it is expressed in a useful tonality. Let it be with compassion, with kindness towards yourself. When you talk to yourself, find possibilities in your life rather than necessities of things. An example would be to change, I need to do this, with, I would like to do this. What it does, it allows you the choice of doing it by enjoying the idea of achieving this task. Forget about how long, tedious a task or a process is, and rather think of the outcome, how it would seem like after completion, or the consequences of completing that task, how well you'll feel, what is the result, how it would look like. Instead of overwhelming yourself with a massive task, like say you have a messy kitchen, break it down into smaller objectives. Let's say you have a dishwasher filled with dishes and the sink is full as well. There are remains of food on the stove, crumbs on the floor, and a dirty stove, of course, because now we're just assuming that you had a party last night and you drank a little bit too much and you didn't want to participate in cleaning your kitchen. Well, break it down into smaller objectives. Put the dishwasher on first, and then go and relax, sit down, watch TV, play some music, do something else. When it's done, clear it out and fill it up again. Then clean the crumbs. Anyway, it's your choice what you want to do and how to break it down. I'm not going to clean the rest of the kitchen for you. But just think of how you want to do it.
So, Kamal, if I got it right, if you allow me to interrupt,
Please, Adil,
yeah.
anytime
So,
you have a question, just go ahead and shoot.
So if I got it right, so it's we again talk about how we think about things and how we put it in the right perspective in our mind. So it's a matter how we are thinking about the issue we are going to tackle. And this made me recall some guidance in some trainings in early years of work. So the main question was how to eat an elephant. So just break it in small pieces. So this is the same. So how we can break down the issues, and we got the benefit of the motivation of achievement. So by achieving each small task, you get more motivated to complete and to finalize the whole task, or the whole parts of the task. So is it the way you want to tell us about it?
Absolutely. And these steps, like these are small steps to be able to motivate yourself. You don't necessarily have to do them all, right? The idea is to use what works for you. And if you want to use them all, use them all. Maybe that works for you. But when it comes, for instance, to eating an elephant, right? You eat it bite by bite, right? Piece by piece. You don't go and try and just chunk up his whole leg at once. And when you break down an objective or a task, it becomes a little bit easier to motivate yourself to be encouraged to do it, because it doesn't become too big for you. It's still in your capabilities, right? It's still within your reach. Now, when I was talking about how you talk to yourself, definitely how we talk to ourselves is the greatest demotivator in our life, because we are in control of what we want to say to ourselves, what we want to hear, and how we want to react to these words. So when you change that script, like I say, you are the author of your own story. You can change the script. Not talking about changing the past. You can't change the past. That's gone. The future, it's still unknown. Why are you worrying about it? Think about today. Think about what you've learned yesterday and the day before and a year before. Think about what happened in your life that pushed you forward until today, and take steps by motivating yourself to be better, right?
Yeah, but and as you mentioned, the Kamal, so all of us might face this negative thinking or negative ideas. So do you have some tips so it can help us to improve this or get rid of this negative thinkings?
Right. So the negative thinking, we kind of spoke about it last time, but we can get into it into a new session where we can talk about an inner critic. That's a person or us
Okay.
or a parent or
Yeah.
somebody in our mind that constantly criticizes our work. And that's the one that I was talking about to you, that voice in your head, how you hear it, what it tells you to do or what it tells you not to do, what it tells you what you can or cannot believe, right?
Okay, great.
So yeah, and the a last point that I wanted to add here in the steps into motivating yourself is partially what we were talking about here, Adil, is remember moving towards a positive outcome. It's most enjoyable rather than moving away from things, right? You can set it up in this way. You have, let's say there's a lion right running after you, or a tiger, or whatever huge animal you're afraid of. You can run away from the lion, or you can run towards safety from the lion. Either way, the lion will catch you, but whatever
Hopefully not.
motivates you, whatever gives you that courage to run faster, that will be the outcome, right? So if you move towards a positive outcome, let's take back that kitchen, right? I want to clean the kitchen to have a healthy place to cook dinner tonight, for instance, rather than I want to clean the kitchen because it's dirty, right? When you think of it, it is dirty, or it's not clean. That's already a negative statement. But you also can use both to motivate yourself. And you will probably get a good outcome, as the combination of things or strategies gives you choices and flexibility. So you can say, oh, I want to clean the kitchen because it's not clean, but I also want it to be clean. Or I want to be able to cook a nice dinner in a clean environment, in a healthy environment, however you may pose that or present it to yourself. Now, these are the steps that I would recommend using to motivate yourself. And yet we might, there might be some problems that arise from your motivation strategies. And these problems are that sometimes we see an outcome and forget to visualize it with all the aspects it holds. Remember when we spoke about visualizing your success and seeing your future? We've added sounds, we've added colors, feelings, emotions. The more you add, the stronger the outcome in your mind, the better and easier it will become for you to motivate yourself. Another thing is, most times we see only one option to our objective or task or problem. And if you add possibilities, you have choices. You can have different approaches to the same situation. And of course, setting goals that are too big or too small reduces the motivation. And so how can we motivate ourselves based on what I said earlier? Well, it's easy. We create achievable goals. And that is the second part of this session where we talk about goal setting. And before we go there, I would like to invite anybody if you have questions or thoughts that you would like to share. All right. Well, then we continue and talk about goal settings in this case. Goal setting is an amazing motivator. It has been proven time and time again through research, actually. So let's define what a goal is, as we previously did with motivation. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as the object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or desired result. A goal setting is basically the process we use in order to achieve the goal that we set ourselves to. How does this benefit us? Well, since goals are a desired outcome that you decide how it is beneficial to your wellness or your life, then why do some people perform better or worse than others? And that comes back to a theory that stipulates that one's performance in achieving a goal is due to how one adjusts or sets the goals in accordance to their capabilities and their personal expansion of their self-awareness. Basically, throughout life, if you have a goal, it's too big, adjust it. See if you have enough capabilities. Are you aware enough of what you can or cannot do to achieve that goal? Do you need more training? Do you need more courses? Do you need to ask for help? And step by step, you start adding these to be able to achieve that goal. Of course, that will be the outcome of whether or not you will be able to motivate yourself enough to achieve that goal. So, does that make sense so far? Yeah? All right.
Yep.
I know that's a lot of talk, and now we still haven't started to explore the possibilities around goal settings. So let's do this right now. There are main points or goal settings, if you wish, or procedures to create a perfect goal that will motivate you. And in NLP, you call them outcome specifications. In life, you call them goal setting. But it's very important to maintain an idea of how you are setting up that goal. So the most important thing is it's best to set your goal in a positive way. Remember the motivation towards something. Look for the goal that you want to achieve and think of it for the future. Think of it in a positive expression. Considering we're talking about fencing here, let's say I want to be a club fencing champion. Now hold on to the thought why I said just a club fencing champion. Because the second step is you need to find a goal that you can do, something that you are in control of and can be maintained by you alone. That's very important. It can't be a goal that is based on somebody else's input. It has to be about you specifically. Once you know that, once you've expressed that goal, you need to make sure that the goal is of an appropriate size. You remember how I said I want to be a club fencing champion or a fencing club champion? I could have said I want to be the world champion. And that would have been a great positive goal that you want to set yourself. But to reach that world champion, there are steps to go through. Maybe that's the ultimate goal, but you need to break down these goals into smaller goals. Like we said, chunk it down, make it smaller. First, you have to be a club champion. Then perhaps you'll go into becoming a regional champion, then a country champion, continent champion, and then an Olympic champion, and then the world champion, right? So these are still steps that you're going to take. That's why I'm saying it has to be a goal that is achievable of appropriate size. Once you've done that appropriate size of finding out your goal, figure out the many ways you can achieve that goal, how it is relevant to who you are, to your life, to the people around you. Is it something that you want, or is it something that your parents want? I know when it comes to sports and lifestyle, many parents have an input on their children. They put them into a fencing club, for instance, and they tell them, well, you're going to be a champion. You have to be the champion. You have to be the number one. No, they don't have to. What if they don't want to? What if they don't want to be an engineer or a doctor like they pushed them to be in university? The goal still has to be yours, right? You need to make sure that your goal is very specific. And when you specify that goal, think of the impediments that can come along, or what can stop you. What are the obstacles that can prevent you from reaching that goal? Then you go into looking into yourself, about your capabilities, your beliefs, and the resources that allow you to accomplish this goal. Perhaps you need more training. Perhaps you need a specific coach or two specific coaches. That's up to you. The next step is to see or to realize what you can do on a daily basis to reach that goal. Are there smaller steps to be undertaken? Is there more learning required? Figure out the steps that you need one by one in order to reach that goal that you're looking for. And a very important thing is, I'm going to repeat it again, please make sure that the goal is really something you want. You on your own, only you, not society, not the environment, not your parents, not your teachers, some things that you really want. Once you know all of these steps, once you've gone through all of these steps, you have your goal. You know how to set up your goal. Now you have a way to reach that goal. Whether you're going to be a world champion, a club champion first, whether you're just looking to how to clean your kitchen, or perhaps be the next president. Whatever it is your goal, there are steps that you have to take. Don't choose a big goal because you'll demotivate yourself very quickly. It can be your ultimate goal. I'm not saying it's wrong. It can be your ultimate goal. It can be like your vision board. I am going to be the Olympic fencing champion. But chunk it down, go step by step, lower and lower and lower. That's very, very important. And as we said in the beginning, how you talk to yourself, how you set up that goal, that will be the greatest motivator for you to achieve that goal. Of course, this is one of the methods that you can use, that I actually use when I coach my clients to figure out what they want to work on or what they want to be coached on. And because without a proper goal or a specific goal, I can't figure out how I will help them. So imagine yourself when you don't have an appropriate size goal, or even don't know what you want or what you will do. How are you going to motivate yourself to do anything, actually? So these steps are very important, in my opinion, when it comes to motivating. Now, I would love for anybody, if you have questions, if you have opinions, if you have ideas and thoughts, to share with me what you want to say. And don't forget that this is all related to the previous sessions that we've had. Because if you go through the steps, if you go and listen one by one, you will find that everything is related to each other.
Yeah, exactly, Kamal. And I think for the goal setting, Kamal, as you mentioned, so it needs to be with the same criteria as you mentioned. So let's call it as a SMART objective or SMART goal. So it's a specific, it can be measured or measurable, achievable, realistic, and having to have a time frame. And we can have both the long term and short term to focus on and work on, the long term to give us a motivation to reach to that long term goal. And for sure, we will be in need for some people around us to support and to help us to evaluate ourselves, to evaluate our skills. Are we capable to do this objective, or we need to make some changes according to our capabilities? And we always remind everybody around the people, so please leave them to decide what they want to be and what they can to do. And if you can improve their skills, just help them. If you can't, don't interfere, and let them discover their capabilities. This is what I got from today and last session as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Adil. And that reminds me, yes, make sure that these goals are something that you absolutely want. And if you need help, ask for help. Remember that a confident person, a person that is capable of self-confidence, is a person that is clear about their self-awareness, is somebody that knows that at this stage I need help. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I've got like 3 coaches. And any coach, I'm talking about life coach, right? Any coach that says that they're a life coach and doesn't have a coach, that person is a hypocrite, in my opinion, because it's important to support yourself with the people that can support you. You're a sports person. Look at all the champions. They all have different coaches. It's not because you become a champion that you don't need coaching anymore. That's just arrogant. So we all need help in our lives, whether it's a life coach, whether it's a sports coach, whether it's a therapist, somebody that wants to help you, a friend even that supports you and talks to you. That that is mental support. That is a support that you need in order to succeed in life, in order to continue. So always, always remember that there are people around you that will support you, that will help you, as much as there are people that will not support you. But you are looking into the positive. Remember, we're looking to find the people that support us, find the people that will help us forward, because we want to move forward as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. And from your experience, Kamal, can you tell us from personal experience with some people who you coached or supported them to put their goals or their objectives, what is the most brilliant thing you found was one of the cases, and what is the most fatal thing that you advise everybody to avoid? Without mentioning names and situations.
I'm not going to mention names, but it's an interesting question, because now your question is a little bit vague for me. So I need to ask you another question.
Oh.
When you're talking about the most interesting or the least interesting or the most fatal, are we talking about motivation? Are we talking about goal settings? What are we?
I will ask it related to the topics today. So let's make it for the goal setting, and I will be more specific so it can simplify the answer. So if more into the steps the person took in putting his goals.
Some people, it's when you coach somebody, it's very interesting because it is extremely subjective. You can have a person that comes in that has a problem, and they tell you, look, I'm not motivated to do that. I want to do this, but like I can't find my motivation. I feel down, whatever it is they may use as an expression. And we work together, we start moving through steps, and then suddenly, if you tell them a story or share an anecdote, there's a light bulb, a switch goes on in their head, and they're like, oh my God, how did I not think of that? I have to do this right away. Okay, let me note. And then they start noting things, and they start to self-motivate. This is one of the things that is very important. This is why I mentioned it. It's you are your own self-motivator. Yes, you can be motivated by the environment around you. You can be motivated by people around you. And if people have high energy, you get into that mood and yes, we're going to do it together and all of that. But at the end of the day, when that environment goes away, when people go away, it's your job to maintain that. It's your job to maintain that level of energy and motivation. It's like when a client comes to me and we work on things together, it's not my job to tell them how to fix things. My job is guiding them for them to find their answers. My job is to give them stories and tools to use in their life to be able to achieve that goal that they want. So when somebody comes to me and say, I want you to motivate me, I'm sorry, that's not my job. That's your job. I can tell you how to motivate yourself. I can give you guidelines. I can tell you what to watch, what to read, etc. But it's your job. I can stay in touch with you and accompany you throughout that journey and support you if that's what you want. But at the end of the day, motivation, it comes from within. I mean, when I'm saying within, yes, there is the extrinsic. You can be motivated from things around you, of course. But the ultimate thing is you are in control of that self-motivation. Remember the saying that I use at every session, you are the author of your own story. Do not allow circumstances or people to write that book for you. Right? You need to write these chapters. It's your lifestyle. It's your life. Take charge. So I hope this helps you a little bit, because it's very difficult to tell you the greatest thing that happens when it comes to motivation and the worst thing. I'd rather tell you the best outcome of motivation, because many people can decide to demotivate themselves or to feel down because they want that attention. You can't, nobody will help them. Some people like to gather that you know what, I'm not motivated. So they go to a life coach, they go to a therapist, they go to a friend, they go to their parents, they go to plenty of people. And the only thing they're doing is they're trying to get attention. They really don't want to be motivated. Because again, it's a choice. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, it was, yeah, to great extent. So it's the name of the game will be the person himself. So
Absolutely.
so I think I got or I understood from your answer that the most worst thing is that facing a person who don't want to be motivated. He just want to grab attention and want to keep himself in this demotivated status. So this will be the worst thing.
Absolutely. We are our own worst enemies. There is nothing outside. Yes, we might have enemies, people that don't like us, but it doesn't matter. We are our own enemies. We create that enemy line between ourselves and the outside world. If you are in control of your mental state, your mental capabilities, your awareness, nothing will stop you. I know it's a little bit boo, it's all of that, but it's called mental coaching for a reason. It's training your mind. So yeah.
Well, so if we have other questions from Jaime or Lisa, if you have questions.
I don't know, can Lisa and Jaime unmute?
Yeah, I believe yes.
So I love that you say that goals can change, because I feel like in a lot of ways in our culture, this is the only way to do this right. And a lot of people don't realize that a goal can change. Goal setting is like this permanent thing. You chisel it into stone and that's it. So I think that's a really great point, is that if you need to adapt, you adapt. And I think right now we've got a lot of people who are very closed in their thinking, and that was really a great take home message for me, because I think a lot of I work with kids who are very, very, very academic, and they are, wanting to get perfect grades, and they're wanting to do all that. And I'm like, we can be part of that. But a lot of times when they don't win instantly, it stresses them out. And I'm like, this is part of the process.
Yep.
Let's change your goal structure so that you won't stress yourself out. Fencing's supposed to de-stress you, not make you more stressed. And I've been slowly integrating, without knowing it, this kind of concept of let's adjust your goals so that they're more realistic, achievable, and then we'll reach for the stars, because they get A's on all their tests, but they don't win bouts yet. And that's one of the things I tell them. Yet. You don't win bouts yet. And but thank you. That that was really a great take-home message for me, was that a goal should be something that can be changed if the circumstances change. I mean, and the pandemic has been a huge example of that. Everybody's training so differently that their goal structure of, getting bouting in, 4 or 5 times a week is gone. They've got to find other ways to be keeping themselves in shape and doing what they need to be doing. So I just wanted to thank you for that. That's my comment.
Well, thank you, Lisa, so much for sharing that. And you're absolutely right. These goals, they can change, they can be adjusted. And that reminded me of something, is when you talk about society and how it looks at people that don't finish something, right? Let's say somebody decides to go and let's say study engineering, and they start to study engineering, but they don't like it. And then they stop, and then they go and do something else. And they stop that and they go and do something else, and they stop that and they go and do something else. There's nothing wrong with stopping. And it doesn't mean that you're a quitter or a loser. It's just that you're not finding yourself there. That goal is not for you. Perhaps you thought of it as your primary goal. You wanted to forget about university, because now we're going to get into a discussion with parents. I don't want that. let's go into life goals, right? You're working and you start working somewhere, and after a couple of years you realize, no, I don't want to continue in this company. I want to find something else. You go somewhere else. You do another job, and a year after you want to do another job, and then another, and then another. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, there is the part, psychological part, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a person should be allowed to choose what is their own goal, what they want to do for themselves. And no matter how many times they have to restart their life, it's still their choice. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it's unfortunate, like you say, Lisa, that people look at others that don't finish a certain goal as quitters or losers or incapable of continuing. Well, as a matter of fact, no, it's just they don't feel comfortable doing that. They don't want that. They're still unsure of where they want to go in life. So why don't we allow people that choice? So thank you again, Lisa, for bringing it up, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Did you want to say something earlier?
Alia, I think she's facing some issues, maybe.
Oh, and Jaime, are you okay? Did you want to share anything?
Yeah. I just wanted to make like a comment, I guess, to add on to what you already shared.
Please.
About goal setting, and being realistic about what your goal is, right? And you talk about becoming world champion or Olympic champion, right? And one thing to remember is that goals take time, and being realistic about your goals is being realistic also about how much time is it going to take, because some of these things are intrinsic. Yeah, their planification comes from you, the motivation comes from you, but at the same time there are external factors specific to sports, right?
Yeah.
So we have to remember that you can't set a goal of, oh, I'm gonna win this tournament, because the outcome of, or the result of how you finish on the tournament is not 100% yours. It's who are you facing? Are you facing someone who's been fencing longer than you? Is that person taller? Like these little details that we tend to forget when we set a goal about how is it realistic, right?
Very true. You're very correct. Yes, that
So,
being realistic in your goals, you're absolutely correct. Yeah.
and remember that there are these external factors, and put in place kind of like, what am I in control of and what is out of my control, because that also helps with, I think it helps with the setting of the goal as to how realistic it should be, because I can't control my opponents, right? I can't control things that happen in life, right? Like someone gets sick in my family, I can't control that affects my mental state. So these are little things that we can and that helps, and that goes along with the readjusting of the goal setting, because
Absolutely.
maybe I have to stop my training to take care of a family member who's sick, and then I have to be okay with readjusting my time for my ultimate goal. I think that's just a little thing that I wanted to point out too.
And
But thank you for everything.
No, thank you for sharing as well. You're absolutely correct. It comes back to readjusting your goals. It comes back to what is the situation you are in now that you can't control yourself. You can't go to a championship because you have a family member that's sick. We have priorities. I'm not sure if we spoke about these priorities earlier, but we have priorities in our lives, beliefs that we want to maintain, that come and go depending on where we are in life. Sometimes we have to take care of our family rather than take care of our career. Sometimes it's time to take care of our health and forget about our career. So it changes with time, and depending on what you're doing, how you set up your goal, how you readjust it. And you're absolutely correct, Jaime. It does depend as well on how achievable it is, who your opponents are, and how it's going to work out. So thank you again for sharing that, Jaime.
Thank you. So I think by this, Kamal, we reached to the end of our meeting today. So thanks to everybody who followed us and watching us on YouTube and Facebook and social media, and thanks to who attend on Zoom today, and waiting for you next week with Kamal and our mental coaching sessions. So see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.